Well, a lot of the motivation for what we did in Covington stems from the fact that I was born in Covington. I was born about 13 blocks south of the Ascent. And so I had a passion for the community. I also have a deep belief that we have a responsibility to make a contribution to our community, to our environment. So it was a great opportunity for me to make a lasting difference in the community in which from where I came.
Bill Butler is an influential businessman who, since the early 1980s, has changed Covington, Kentucky from a sleepy river town to a thriving metropolitan riverfront area.
More than anyone, I think he changed the perception of northern Kentucky, especially the urban portions of northern Kentucky, as being Cincinnati's stepchild.
I mean, he can see an empty piece of land or a vacant property or an abandoned building and envision a multi or mixed-use development effort.
There hadn't been a high-rise building, or there hadn't been an office building built in more than 70 years. So we undertook to build an 18-story office building without tenants, and a hotel where there'd never been a hotel, a big one. So some people say that was suicidal, and it probably was by many standards. So the biggest risks we've taken are these, what's called Towers of River Center.
He proved by taking risks on major projects such as River Center that quality corporations, Class A hotels, would want to locate in northern Kentucky if there was quality product there.
He has essentially developed the northern Kentucky waterfront and took the opportunity when Cincinnati was dragging its feet to develop the riverside.
The revenues generated from those buildings over the last 25 plus years is probably in excess of $100 million. So the city would be very different were it not for not only the vision that he had, but the willingness to take the risks when others were not willing to do so. And the city has benefited tremendously from that.
Butler's next ambitious project exceeded the River Center in breadth and scope and involved an international architect from New York, Danielle Liebeskind.
I wanted to build a building that more or less screwed into the sky. That's the way I described it. So I picked up the phone and I called Danielle and I said, "It's just a little building by your standards down here." And he said, before he cut me off, he said, "I'll be down immediately." And within a week, he came to visit. He stayed overnight. He identified immediately with the historic bridge. And then his design, if you study it, is in harmony with the bridge, both in shape and in color. And basically, it's what we built. We didn't change it, but we worked with him and his team to find a way to build it so that we didn't sacrifice any design, but we could afford it.
The Ascent was commissioned in 2004 and the building was completed in March 2008. It is 22 stories tall and houses 70 condominiums.
I think it opened up a lot of folks' eyes to the potential of Covington, particularly from across the river. A lot of the folks who moved to the Ascent, in fact, are not from this area, but love the structure. And I think it's helped to bring others to really look more seriously at Covington as a home.
For the people in the northern Kentucky community, I think they take a lot of pride in it. People do take pride in buildings and architecture. These buildings will be here for 200 years.
He certainly has changed the landscape and skyscape of northern Kentucky. It was very mediocre and very low-profiled situation, which As far as I can see, Bill Butler almost single-handedly changed it.
There's no one more visionary than Bill Butler, and his willingness to take risks and execute challenging projects is a real gift to our community, to Northern Kentucky, and to the greater Cincinnati region.
Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream of things that never were and ask why not. Bill is one of those individuals that throughout his career has been asking that question, why not?
So it's in thinking big, it's in stretching, it's in acting that we accomplish and that we are fulfilled as humans to the greatest extent we can. Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men's blood, and of themselves will not survive. Make big plans. Aim high and hope and work, remembering that a noble, logical diagram, once recorded, shall never die.